Hello, I am Rob Winters, and thank you for joining me for the very first episode of the Pickled Podcast. This is a brand new medium for myself, as I have traditionally done audio podcasts, which are recorded either by myself or in a studio or with somebody, and then we edit them and push them out, via directories traditionally. So this is a live video podcast, so we're streaming it from PodOp Studio onto YouTube, and then we will import it back into hosting from YouTube and push it out to directories, all that good stuff. The goal of this podcast is to actually not have a specific agenda or goal. We will talk a little bit about PodOps. We will talk about new features, a little bit about the podcasting industry, and hopefully get you some Teddy Pickles time. She's right over there staring at me from the sofa, half asleep. It's a little early for her. It's 8:30 a.m. Eastern. She usually likes to get up around 11. So kind of not her jam to be a morning puppers. So for, those who have not met me, I am the founder of PodOps. And what PodOps is, if you cannot tell by the giant glowing neon sign behind me, which if you're listening to this on audio, there is a neon sign on the wall that says PodOps, which is our classic logo. It has morphed over the years. We started as a podcasting platform with the goal of becoming the all-in-one solution for creators. And over the and there is the benefit of a live podcast. There's a dog barking in the background. That is wonderful. Things you can't do anything about. I love it. So we wanted to be kind of the all-in-one hosting, recording, editing, marketing solution. And over the last few years, we've actually achieved that. So we launched hosting in 2022. The company was founded in 2020, and we've launched PodOps Connect, which brought email and SMS marketing to the platform. And then in 2024, we launched PodOps Studio. And that's what I'm going to focus on a little bit today, because this is my first official live stream from Studio. And what Studio also brought to the platform was video podcasting, which was user requested. And video podcasting, obviously, that's been growing a lot over the years, especially recently. If we look at, there was a stat in June 2024 that Spotify had 250,000 video podcast shows on their platform. And I apologize, I'm going to take these off. I have really big ears and my headphones crush them. And that had increased 100,000 in just that 12-month period. So, just looking at that, and Spotify itself is a closed platform. So meaning if you have a video podcast with PodOps, you cannot take the video and directly port it over to Spotify the way you would your audio. So you can't go into your PodOps directory section, push the button and have it go over. You have to actually download the video. You got to go into your Spotify account and upload it. And it's going to go into that as a new RSS feed. So that's how they're kind of trapping you into their platform and forcing you to use Spotify. On the contrast, Apple, which usually likes to behave that way, they're very, kind of the gated garden. They're actually very open with video, where if you have a video podcast on our platform or any other hosting platform that allows video, you can upload that just the way you would your audio. And once you publish, Apple will ingest it. It will push it to their platform, and anybody who can actually receive video can watch it, can enjoy it, and do what they may with it. So it's really interesting to see how video is beginning to be adopted by more hosting platforms. And I'll caveat there where in this past August, we were exhibiting at Podcast Movement, Washington, D.C., and I had a lady come over, and I can't for the life of me remember her name. I'm really good with faces, but horrible with names. And she was a Buzzsprout user, and she confirmed that, so not guessing there. And she said she asked us if we did video, and I said yes. And she had gone to the Buzzsprout booth and said that they told her in no uncertain terms that they had no intention of doing video, which really surprised me that they're kind of nixing that. And so again, that might just be the person working at their booth, but if they're truly taking that off the table, that seems short-sighted, where I believe Podbean and Libsyn are also on board with the video, as are we. And it seems like that's kind of the future. So you can still do audio, but video seems pretty important. I have met plenty of podcasters and creators who are very anti-video and live stream when it comes to podcasting. So I'd be very interested for your comments in the section below if you are pro or anti-video as a podcast. We may in the future do these streams directly from studio and have you view it there versus on YouTube, because we actually have live polling within studio. So I could just have you actually vote right there. But since we're doing it via YouTube, I'll just say, leave a comment and let me know if you think that a video podcast is truly a podcast. And because this is a live video, I very much need coffee. So I'm doing all the things that I would usually say never ever do in an audio podcast, such as slurp or suck or do any of those gross things where you're going to make a sound that you'll have to edit out later. The plan when this goes to an audio podcast is also to leave it raw. So we won't be cutting out any of the gross sounds that I make, or the fact that right now I have a head cold and I sound kind of nasal and a little bit like the nanny, for anybody who is old enough to get that reference. So keeping in mind, and we're just taking these all the way out, not in the mood for them. For anyone who is interested in video, you can still do video things with your audio podcast. So think sound bites. So if you are a Buzzsprout user, which if you love their sound bites, you'll be very excited to know we'll be bringing Podio Bites to our platform later this year. Headliner is another great tool that can take your audio and translate it into tons of really cool little sound bites and clips with, digital stills that can play and can be used on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So you can leverage the video of the social platforms to support your audio podcast. So it's still leveraging that even if you're not ready to have a video podcast. So ways to think about how you can use video, even if you're not ready to go down that route. And also thinking about how you might monetize that potentially. So if you're thinking of a premium podcast, you might be able to do a premium podcast with courses more easily with that video component than you're going to be able to do with the audio component. So unless you have a really compelling story, or of course, true crime is the only thing that's coming to mind because it's that thing that we always talk about. But unless you have that story that is so gripping, like a Harry Potter where somebody is dying to get the next chapter, it might be a little difficult with the premium content. But course content, trainings, anything like that. I actually have a client that is doing a menopause course that is gated, that I was looking at that for her yesterday, where it's 2 sections and she charges $9.99, but we'll round up, it's $1,000. And it's split in 2, where it's 2 gated chunks of content with the paywall at $500 and $500. So there are definitely ways to monetize that if you think about it. Again, it's a little easier with video than it's going to be with audio. So thinking about how you might want to leverage that. Of course, video has a production cost, so might cost more than audio, especially if you want it highly polished, if you are going to charge for it. If you aren't going to do something like I'm doing right now, where it's going to be live and you intentionally want it to be raw, a little messy, it's going to cost you a little more than it might if you're going to do studio quality. So all things to think about. But as I mentioned with this podcast, as we're getting started, we want to keep this open and light, and we want to make sure that the topics are really relevant, not only to our PodOps users, but that they serve a purpose. So this will be a twice-a-week podcast. It'll be generally between 8 and 9 a.m. Some of that will get pushed around depending on morning meetings as things go long, or like this morning when the audio cut out and I had to record this a second time. So those are the fun things of going live. I will also do my best to make sure we keep it consistent and that those things don't get interrupted. For Thursday's episode, so in 2 days, I'm going to give you a first look at our new feature, the AI blog. So we're really excited about this. This is highly user requested. And if you haven't heard, the way we do our development cycles, we develop in 3-month sprints. So rather than planning out the entire year, which made it a lot harder to create things in a relevant, timely manner and slowed things down, we have taken it down to 3 months at a time or a quarter. We've just started our newest quarter. If everything goes to plan, this week we'll actually be rolling out revamped analytics stage 1 with additional analytics coming out in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But the biggest new update, along with some other things that I won't say yet just because I don't want to have to bite my tongue if they get delayed, will be the AI blog. So I'll be able to walk you through that in the staging environment. It's pretty cool. So looking forward to sharing that with you. But if you have any ideas or things you'd like to hear about, feel free to drop them in the comments. I will respond to those, hopefully in a very timely manner. I'll do my very best. And give me 1 sec. I will grab Teddy and let her make a quick cameo. She is tired, so she's not really in the mood. But for those of you who have met Teddy at the conferences, you know she's a lover. You know, Teddy Pickles. She's not camera shy. She's always happy to be the star of the show. So thank you for tuning in for the first episode. I will see you Thursday at 8 a.m. This has been the Pickled Perspective. I am Rob Winters. Thank you guys. Have a great morning. Oh, Teddy Bear.